Cigars around. Ladies dressed again. And the dudes was talking. Well, I'm here to see rock and roll. What is up? It is me. It's the OG. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thanks for joining me. My Den, My Rules, My Podcast. Listen, I have been waiting for I don't know how long to get these guys back on. I am bringing back S&W Cigars, Arizona Jim, his father, Jack Swartz. They got together and came up with a banger of a cigar. Actually, two. You guys are going to absolutely love them. These cigars reflect their personalities. These guys are off the charts. I love hanging out with these guys. They are just absolutely wonderful. So hang on. In 30 seconds, I'm going to bring back Arizona Jim and Jack Swartz, S&W Cigars. It's the life that you and me. What's up, guys?
Yo!
What's up?
How's it
What's
going,
going
OG?
It's awesome. Did you guys hear that music?
Hell
Yes.
Do you know who that was?
I think that was us.
yeah.
That was you. That was you. You guys are awesome, everybody. This is Arizona Jim, his dad, Jack Swartz. This is S&W Cigars. Like I had said earlier, I have been waiting for so long to get these guys back on my podcast. How are you, fellas?
Doing great,
Doing
man. How you
great.
doing?
Doing good.
Things are good. Things are good. So listen, I burned through. Jim sent me, what did I order? Like 10 cigars last time?
5 of each, yep.
Yeah, I must have burned through those probably in a record time. And I got to place another order because they are just absolutely fantastic. So, Jack, let me start with you. And why don't you let everybody know about your cigars and just a quick synopsis of how the business kind of came about and go from there.
That sounds good. Basically, this was a child of Jim's. My son came to me earlier this year in January, and this is something he's been passionate about. Jim and I have played music together ever since he was like 15 years old, and we've also been in business together with our consulting company, but it was always doing something for other people, consulting, working for other people. And he approached me, he says, you know, Pops, we need to do something that's just ours, something that brings our personality. We both enjoy a good stick. We enjoy the process, the social aspects of it. And he said, and I met somebody who's a manufacturer of cigars that will help us find the perfect blend. We talked about it closely and both decided right from the outset that whether it took 3 months, 6 months, whatever, we were going to be very, very specific about finding the first couple of cigars that would express our identity. So I have a Connecticut called the El Maestro. And the El Maestro is not just your typical Connecticut because it's full-bodied, has a lot of flavor, a little bit of kick and spice to it, and a very enjoyable cigar. Whether you're an experienced cigar smoker or just a casual social smoker, it's something you can enjoy. the El Cantante, which means the singer. Jim is the lead vocalist in our band. We've got a couple of records out, as OG just played one of our songs off of our last record. And he wanted something a little bit more full body. So I will leave that for him to explain his thoughts behind it. But it was something we wanted to tie our passion for music. We both love badass cars. I mean, starting when I was young, I had a 57 Chevy. I had a 65 Mustang, a 63 Comet. And back then, before computers and everything, you could work on your own automobiles. And I used to spend hours working on my cars, boring them out with a dual Holley carburetor and Pirellis on the back and hijackers. And I had the skull for the speed shifter and the feet for the clutch and the. So yes, I'm dating myself. I am old. But the whole concept was, let's tie in our personalities, express ourselves, and let's start off small, organically, but let's really bring our personality to the company and let it embody all those things. Because one of the things that I found in my tenure as a musician and touring around the world is that seems to tie in a lot. I mean, there were a lot of my most enjoyable times having a cigar was after a show with one of my buddies, or with some of the musicians I was playing with, or some of the rock stars that I was promoting when I did concerts. And we always talked about cars, and I won't get into that, but there were certain very high profile musicians that we would spend hours just talking about cars. And so wanted to tie all this in. And Jim had the basic concept. He is really the driving force behind S&W, whereas I'm more kind of taking the back seat from the business aspect of it and very active in that. But Jim is the one that really is passionate and is an everyday smoker, knows everything from the filler and the wrap and the tobacco and what makes each cigar special, so that we could get those cigars that would express ourselves. And that's basically how the company started. And the response has been overwhelmingly wonderful. I know the first time that I smoked the El Maestro, I went, okay, this is now my go-to cigar. This is my go-to stick. When I go and sit down and have a cigar with friends, this is what I want them to try and to smoke with me. And it's become my primary. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy other cigars. It's like anything else. Nobody wants to eat steak every day. Yeah,
right.
But
it's a go-to when.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's basically how we got our start, and I'll let Jim take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. You're center stage,
Howdy.
brother.
Yes, it really. I mean, it really. I had been talking with a mutual buddy of ours, Fred, OG, and for probably a year and a half, 2 years, and kind of asking him questions and trying to get an idea of, man, I'd love to get like just somebody to have an Arizon Jim cigar, just one cigar, put a new band on it, and kind of do a collaboration kind of thing. And last December, Fred basically said, hey, we gonna do something here or what? And so I got all the information of, what the investment would be like, and was actually very surprised that it was reasonable, especially knowing that we had to start small and over a period of years grow. And so kept it very realistic to what was, obtainable for us. With those discussions with Fred, and then I took all that information and presented it to Pops, and like he said, we when we decided to do it and to start the business, then it went into the product conversations, and that's when it was there was very little conversation about it. It was however long it takes is how long it takes to get the right product, to get the right cigars that represent us. The first two cigars, one of them has to represent me and one of them has to represent him. and what our palates and what our tastes are like. And then getting into the naming and things like that, it was very much, in line with who we are as individuals. And yeah, the Connecticut is, I've never been, OG, you and I have had this conversation several times. I've never been a massive Connecticut smoker. It's, once every couple months, I'll try something new just to see if maybe I get lucky and something kind of was like, oh, wow, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But with our El Maestro, so many people, including yourself, have had very similar responses of, oh shit.
Yeah.
This is not your everyday average ordinary Connecticut. And it's not that it's full bodied. It's still very light and very smooth, but it's that full flavor profile that you typically don't get out of most Connecticut's. The flavor profile, the complexities, the little nuances that you get depending on what you're pairing it with for a drink, what you're eating. You're going to get several different layers of different flavors to it. And to me, that's what really makes a top tier cigar that gives you different complexities, gives you different tasting notes, depending on what you've had to eat, what you're drinking, pairing it with. And same thing with the El Cantante. I'm typically a Habano guy. The El Cantante is a Habano wrapper. I typically like a Habano that's like super spicy, like kick you in the mouth, smack your mama kind of pepper.
Same. Slap your grandma.
I decided very quickly that for the El Cantante, I wanted it to, the flavor profile, I wanted it to represent the flavors that I really chase after at a Habano. But I wanted to tone down some of the spiciness because I know a lot of guys stay away from Habanos because they don't want that spicy. They like the flavors, but that spice just, it gets to them and they can't handle it. So I wanted a Habano that was going to give you a lot of those true Habano flavors, gives you a little extra. There's some nice spice on there, but it's not so much that it's going to like kill you or hurt you. And I think that a lot of guys that are very similar to the Connecticut, where guys that don't typically smoke Connecticut's are now adding our El Maestro to their regular rotation because of the flavor profile. I'm finding the same thing is happening over on the other side with the Habano, the El Cantante. Guys that typically don't like Habanos are smoking our Habano because of the fact that they get those great Habano flavors. There's more complexities because there's less spice. It allows you to open up to more complex flavor notes. And it doesn't scare them away. And then on the flip side, a guy that really loves Habanos is really going to love this as maybe more of a morning stick because it doesn't have that massive punchy in the mouth. So it really appeals. Both cigars, I think, really can appeal and really do appeal to a newer smoker as well as the seasoned connoisseur that, pinpoints exactly what they like and what they know. Every time that somebody goes, man, I don't smoke Connecticut's, I'm like, dude, just smoke one of mine. Just smoke one of them. And then you come back and you tell me what you think.
Yeah, I mean, you knocked my socks off. I mean, you absolutely called it. You were like, listen, I know you don't like the Connecticut's, but you have to absolutely try this cigar. You're going to absolutely like it. And what I say to you, yeah, okay, but if you want my honest feedback, be prepared, because if I don't like it, I'm the, I'll let you know. And I called you up almost immediately and was like, dude, what in the hell is that? That can't be a Connecticut. It can't be, because on the retro hell, on a Connecticut, for me, on most Connecticut's, I get a sweetness and like a creamy kind of retro hell. Man, with yours, you got a little bit of spice in there. It gave a little bit of zing to your nostrils as you're retrohaling out. And I was like, oh my God, you can't get that.
But it's
you can't get that from a.
And the beautiful thing is that with that spice that you get on the El Maestro, it's not a pepper spice. It's almost like like a little bit of a sweeter baker's spice.
Yeah, it reminded me of I think the only way I can describe it is like you said, like a baker's spice, but it reminded me of like the smell of pumpkin pie, like
Yeah.
that has stayed in the oven just a hair too long, not burnt, but just just a hair too long, and I was like, oh my god, I smoked that, was like, I can't wait for Thanksgiving now, because that's when I normally eat pumpkin pies. It's right around
My
Thanksgiving,
favorite pie.
and I was like,
and dude, you should have seen Pops' face the first time that he smoked the sample for the El Maestro. Like, his eyes just went big as shit and was just like, first light, first couple puffs, he was like, fuck, dude, yeah, this is it.
I'm in love.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
But I will say this. You guys, your Connecticut made me try other Connecticut's. I was so adamant I didn't like Connecticut's, I stopped smoking them. Like, I wouldn't even try them. People came up to me all the time and said, listen, try this Connecticut. Nope, not a Connecticut guy, won't even do it. Even if they gave me the cigar, I would say thank you, and it sat in my humidor.
Yeah.
And then you guys, I tried yours, and I'm like, okay, now this, to me, this is the mark. So now I have to try other Connecticut's to see where those fall in.
Yeah.
To compare to the
and look, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that a lot of the Connecticut's out there, in my opinion, are extremely similar in flavor profile. But there are a lot of guys that love that. There's a lot of guys that love that. And to me, it's with our cigars, it's bridging a gap for a large section of cigar smokers like you. You just said, before you smoked our Connecticut, you'd kind of written them off. Now you're now entering that part of the cigar smoking journey of going back to checking out some other Connecticut's. And look, I'm not saying that ours is the only one that's amazing. There are a few that are really good out there. Before we had the El Maestro, my go-to Connecticut that I would smoke, 3 or 4 times a year was the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a really good, it's not complex, but you definitely, for me, I get more flavors out of it than, say, like the Undercrown Shade. Things like that.
I've heard a lot about that. The Perdomo, the 20th anniversary Perdomo, same thing. But I got to be honest with you, I tried that and I wasn't overly thrilled with it. It's not. Listen, Perdomo puts out fantastic cigars. I mean, but to me, the Connecticut thing was just not, not my thing. So Jack, when you tried your Connecticut. Before you had that Connecticut, what was your go-to Connecticut cigar that always made you go, you know what, I need this brand, this label? Jim was saying his was Perdomo. Was yours the same, or did you have a different one?
And here's what's funny is I was on a journey over 20 years of trying to find the right cigar. I smoked a lot of Romeo and Julietas. Connecticut, but there was always something missing for me. I enjoyed it. I always like having a cigar with like a Sambuca with 3 coffee beans in it, or a nice aged Scotch whiskey or something. After when I was traveling in Asia a lot, after our days at the factories, we'd go have a nice meal with the people, and then afterwards, my partners and I, our colleagues, we would go to a cigar bar and have a cigar. And I went through a lot of different Connecticut's because I don't like, I can't smoke really heavy cigars. I'm a mild asthmatic, and they just never sat with me very well. But the Romeo and Julieta, while enjoyable, I would get about halfway, 2/3 of the way through, and then I was done with it. The first time that I smoked the El Maestro, and Jim and I had talked a lot about what I was looking for It was like, you know, trying to find Xanadu or something, you know, trying to find Atlantis, trying to find this thing that I had not found yet or encountered. And I said, there have to be other guys like me that want a Connecticut, but they want something more. So when I smoked the first El Maestro, it knocked me on my ass. It was so good. I smoked it down to a nub and went, please, sir, could I have another? You know, it was one of those situations where I went, oh my God, I'm left wanting more. And what was wonderful about it that I hadn't experienced with any Connecticut prior to that was that the profile of the cigar, as I smoked to different levels of the cigar, the first third, the second third, it changed a bit and kept me interested. It kept, when I'd go, oh, okay, this is nice, all of a sudden it hooked me back in and go, hey, there you go, buddy. There's something new for you. And I, wow, this is amazing. And the thing is I've talked to other friends who are Connecticut smokers and said, you got to try this. You won't believe it. And, you know, the same for the El Cantante. I'm not a Habano smoker. It's a little too full bodied usually. However, the first time I smoked the El Cantante, I went, you know what? This is not an everyday smoker or regular smoker for me. But boy, you know, like after a good Chinese food or after a good Italian meal, and I'm sitting relaxing, I could smoke this in the evening. I couldn't smoke it earlier on, but in the evening, after a nice full dinner, this is a nice, full, just wonderful smoke that I can expand my horizon as well. And that's really what we were looking for. We didn't want to just be another Connecticut or another Habano. We wanted to have our own, something that really reflected us and what we enjoyed that that other people could share in as well.
Yep. So let me ask you this. So I know you guys, you know, we've talked many times. You guys are into cars and obviously music and rock and roll and that whole, not, you know, all of that. If you could label that Connecticut a car, what car would represent that Connecticut?
Oh, aha. So to me, the Connecticut is a beautiful 65 Mustang. Okay. It wasn't a 4-speed. It wasn't a big, it was only a 289 engine, but what a comfortable, smooth ride that from first gear to second gear to, because it's a 3-speed, the transitions was just, it was, you just felt this energy, you felt this, and whether you were cruising, you could, back in those days, you know, like I said, I'm a really old guy, but you know, in the early 60s, you know, when I first started driving and I had, you know, my 6-drive Mustang I got in the early 70s, and I could take it down Whittier Boulevard in LA and cruise in that car, or I could take it on the Coast Highway going up the California coast to the wine country. I could take it out and bore it out, and man, it just had this roar to it and this power. And to me, that's what I love about the El Maestro. It's a nice, you can have it in the morning, you can have it in the evening. It's got this full flavor packet that just knocks you on your ass. And at the same time, it's calming and it's relaxing. And you go, ah, which is what, especially with, I had the diamond tuck and roll in my 65 Mustang. You sat in that bucket seat up front with that diamond tuck and roll, and your body just melted into the seat. And that clutch was the 289 Ford Mustang at that time had a really smooth clutch. You know, if you've ever driven a clutch in a truck, or if you've driven it in, like, say, a 63 Comet, it's much stiffer and a little bit more torque to it. The 65 Mustang is a really smooth clutch. Blended with, that's why the 289 is probably one of the most popular of the Ford motors. So that's what I would liken it to.
So it definitely wouldn't be the equivalent to like a New York State Trooper Interceptor. I drove one of those. Man,
No.
I dislocated my hip trying to depress that clutch, man. That is brutal. I don't know how those dudes do it. They must get leg worked out every day, man. I don't know how they do it.
I used to drive a 1949 Willys Jeep when I was living in Oregon, and we'd go up what they call the loggers roads, and you take these trails up, and my buddy and I, we used to, on a weekend after we got done with our gigs, we'd get into that 49 Willys Jeep and travel up into the mountains, into the Siskiyous, and we'd find these, basically they're a hollowed out log cabin, and we'd go camping and we'd drive that 15. And let me tell you, especially going uphill, the clutch in that thing, I swear I had to put lots of, like Ben Gay back then. We didn't have Icy Hot and all those things. Put Ben Gay on my left hip because my hip just was screaming at me because that clutch was so stiff and so rough to drive. Luckily, we never got it out of like second gear. So, but it was rough. That's why the Mustang was just, I still have dreams of driving that car and going, oh, wish I could drive it one more time.
One more time. All right. Same question to you, Jim. What do you got, buddy? For your cigar, what's the car that you would, if your cigar was a car, what would it be?
Very, very easy. A 1960s Cadillac.
Nice.
A 1960s, or what we used to call when I was in high school, we call them the Daddy Lacks. But it is, and the reason I say that is I know nothing about the engine. I know nothing about it, but the lines are classic. It's like riding on a cloud. It's super comfortable. Everybody's turning around to look at you. That's what, and of course, El Cantante, the singer, always got to be the focal point of attention.
I was going to say,
it's this giant boat of a car that you can't miss when it's driving down the road. But it's got all the classic stylings. It's got, all those classic lines on it. And when you need it to go, you can punch it and it'll get you there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Jack, your cigar for me, if I had to label it a car, for me, it probably would be the equivalent of like a 68 Stingray. Like I just my father,
yeah.
I don't remember it. I was a very little kid. My father had a 68 Stingray briefly, and then obviously the family expanded, so he had to get rid of it. But it just that to me, and I've sat in them at car shows. Those cars are so comfortable for being a souped up sports car. They're so comfortable to sit in and relax. That would be it. That would be a 68 Stingray.
Wow. I'm flattered. I am flattered because the 68 Corvette Stingray to me was the last of the classic Stingrays. I first got into Stingrays in 1957. The 63 Stingray is still my favorite, but the 68, as far as comfort and style and power, that 68 Stingray is amazing. An amazing vehicle.
One day when I hit the lottery, I'm going to own one again.
They are not cheap. Neither are the Mustangs anymore.
No,
they're not. I'm going to have to find one, and my dad's was powder blue.
Oh wow! Yeah, my 65 Mustang was Lake Placid blue metallic. And
nice.
See, now for me, if I go Corvette, I gotta go a 50s Corvette.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
The 59 probably is the one you'd probably love the best.
That two-tone. Yep. Oh man.
See,
removable hard top
and the white. Yeah.
Yep. Removable hard top.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That's right. And for your cigar, Jim, it'd be my truck, my Ram. Listen, that is a powerhouse. The truck is a powerhouse, and your cigar is a powerhouse, man. That is. Listen,
I'll take that.
That cigar packs a punch, but it's not overwhelming. and it gets you through. And same thing with my truck. I love that damn truck so much. I want to drive that until there's 300,000+ miles on it. It just no. I'm serious, man. That thing does not rain, hail, sleet, or snow. That truck goes, man. And same thing with that cigar, man. It just I love it. Like I told you, I would almost started crying when I smoked that last one. I didn't want that cigar to end, and I'm like, oh, I should have buried this thing in the humidor and saved it. But you know, silly me. Whatever.
Hey, you know where to come for more.
I got you. I got you. I got you. Speed dial. Don't worry. I got you. I'll be doing that. I meant to do that the other day, and I got sidetracked with some family stuff. But I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get a reorder in. But hey, let me take 30 seconds here, and I'll be back. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay in studio. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. This is where I'm gonna splice it out. Slap my commercial I made in, shameless plug for mycigartender.com, and I'll be back with you guys in like 30 seconds. All right, we are back. What's going on, everybody? Again, I'm here with S&W Cigars. I got Arizona Jim and his dad, Jack Schwartz. These guys are absolutely awesome to hang out with. I've talked with
these guys
numerous times. Listen, I love you guys. You know, and you know
same
what?
Here, man.
November is probably a better time for me to come out because of the temperature. So it worked. Yes. I think it's going to work out better for November. So I'll be out to see you guys in person, and we are going to have an absolute blast when we're out there. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, no. Listen, I told Jim I was trying for October, and my son's coming back from the Air Force. He's being permanently stationed down in Langley. So I have to wait for my work schedule to come out, and then he's a priority. I'm going to go see him in October, and I'll get to see y'all in out in November sometime. So, but so listen, where can everybody go pick up some of your cigars? I don't know who wants to take this one here, but let the folks know.
I'll take that one.
Where we can go to get S&W cigars.
So right now, we're in the process of having a website built out for us that is hopefully going to be a game changer for us. But as of right now, the easiest way is to reach out to me on Instagram. It's at @the_Arizona_Jim. That's going to be the easiest way. Is just reach out to me through there. If you're on Facebook, you can reach out to me through Facebook, send me a message or comment on a picture, and then I'll reach out to you. However it's easiest. That's the easiest way right now, or pretty much the only way right now. And until the website's done, right now we take cash if you're in person, or we can take PayPal.
Okay. Awesome.
Once we get the website up and running, we'll be able to take a lot more forms of payment, and you can just go online, order them, and then I get the order and then I ship. So,
okay, awesome. So, so let's switch gears here. Let's put kind of cigars on the back burner here for just a few minutes. Jack, this question is for you. I know you had mentioned that you love to smoke some cigars at the end of your concerts and stuff and hang out with the boys. It's funny you say that because I literally this morning just got done watching an interview with the drummer from Metallica,
Lars Ulrich.
Yes, he smokes a cigar before he goes on stage every single time.
And James Hetfield will smoke cigars throughout the show.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Yep. See, I didn't know that. They didn't say anything about that, but I thought how fascinating. What a great community the cigar world is, that you can be in that like entertainment, you can be in a professional setting, like a CEO of a company. You can be a doctor. You can be you can work at McDonald's. Like it doesn't matter what you do. Like cigar community is all inclusive, and I just wanted to pick your brain, and you don't have to mention names, but what was one of those fun times where you got done with a concert? Maybe you were, you were leading off for somebody or whatever, and then at the end of the concert, you all got to hang out. Was there anything that, like, any particular moment that stands out that this is a lasting memory for you? Just the camaraderie and stuff like that.
Actually, there's one that stands out immediately because it was very early in my career, and we had done a couple of shows with the band Foghat, and it was at that time I was living in Southern Oregon, and I was doing concert promotion as well as promoting my own band at the time, and at that time, I was still playing bass. I mean, this is way back before I became a guitar player. And I was the bass player in my band. And the bass player for Foghat was new to the band. He told me he had just joined within the past year. And after the show, they were staying at the local Holiday Inn. And he said, "Hey, what are you doing after the show?" And I said, "Well, I've got to coordinate the crew and help with the loadout and everything." And he goes, "Can you get someone to oversee that? Why don't you come back to the hotel with me? Let's grab a drink and just kind of chill." And I went, "Sounds good to me." So I coordinated it with my business partner and a couple of other guys, and I delegated the remainder of the work. And I got on the tour bus and drove back with the band back to the hotel. And the bass player's name was Craig, and I don't remember his last name off the top of my head. But Craig goes to me, "Hey, I've got this great aged bottle of Scotch, man. We gotta try it out." I went, "Sounds good to me." And he said, "I don't want to go sit in the bar. First of all, they're not going to like the cigar smoke." And I said, "Cigars?" I at that time only had a couple of cigars in my life, and I went, "Wow, I'd love to enjoy a cigar. Do you have? Can you share?" He goes, "I got this old bottle of Scotch. I got a small humidor of cigars. We'll pick out a couple." It was my first introduction to a Connecticut, to be honest with you. And unfortunately, I don't remember what it was. But he decided, "Hey, there's a couple of nice young girls down here that want to get autographs. Let's go to the pool." So we went to the Holiday Inn pool. We put on our swim trunks, got in the pool, had these two young ladies pouring Scotch and enjoying a cigar, sitting on the stairs of the pool, drinking some Scotch, nice warm pool water, having these cigars. And it was a moment that I went, life doesn't get any better than this. It's just absolutely. And by the way, nothing happened with the women that night. That was very, very good. Doesn't mean it didn't happen other times, but on that particular night, it was all about the hang. It was about the cigars and the Scotch and the brotherhood of music. Talking about the show, he told me how he met up with the band and joined the band. And I bring this up also because he just recently passed. And it brought up the memory, and I was really sad to hear. I did, over the years, probably over the course of 10 years, did about 6 or 7 other shows with those guys. They were always a pleasure to work with. And ironically, about 10 years ago, Jim and I did a show here in Arizona at what they call the Ostrich Festival. And the Foghat guys were playing on the main stage, and we were on a stage off in a distant land at the Ostrich.
Back in the distance.
Way back. But I found out from the promoter a couple of days later that the band heard us playing before they went on. And we're talking to the promoter saying, "Hey, next time you should have these guys on there and have them on the bill playing with us." And it was kind of funny because I would have loved to see my old friend Craig again. I hadn't seen him in years. So, but that was a great memory and that's when I realized that, having a cigar was this wonderful calming social thing of hanging out with other guys that you have, mutual interests in things. Like I said, it became part of my ritual. I used to do, when I worked for Fender, we used to do the Guitar Center, the big Guitar Center stores. I did close to 70 grand openings. And at the end of a grand opening, me and some of the other guys that would help do all the setup and everything, we would find a local cigar lounge and we would sit and talk music and talk, who we liked, what we had recently been listening to. We wouldn't even talk about the occasion of, the grand opening and all that. We would just talk about music and our families and have a drink and smoke. And I remember my buddy Sherman, talking about, different guitar players that had influenced him. And had you heard this guy? Oh, you gotta go meet this guy. And it was just a real, and to this day, it's what I enjoy most. I think there's a picture on Instagram where our whole band, after a rehearsal, went out on my back patio and the four of us all sat around smoking cigars and laughing and talking music. And those are the times that mean the most to me in my life.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Jim, was there any particular moment that you had that, again, where you, cigars kind of brought you together and it was a moment that stands out for you, like music or not music or?
No, not music. When we were playing pretty hard and heavy, like when we first started playing, I was 15. So like back then we would always go to breakfast afterwards. That was kind of our thing as a band, was to go out and break bread. And it was even then, it was always more about the hang than it was about the playing, because we were all like super close best friends. And no, for
Still
me,
are.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
For me, there's so many different situations that I've been in over the years that have been you've I'm sure you've heard me talk about, chasing those moments in life. And I think for me, cigars is a very big catalyst in sliding into those moments.
Okay.
Where you don't even realize it until maybe after it's over that, wow, that was amazing. Just sitting around at a lounge and you strike up conversations with people. Next thing you know, 5 years later, you're still talking and hanging out.
That's
and
awesome.
And the initial meetup and the initial connection was made, random strangers at a random lounge, just shooting the shit. And then, like I said, 5 years later, hey, you're still hanging out, still talking, and being very good friends. Same thing in the virtual world is, I've met, amazing people like yourself, Scott. I mean, the list goes on and on of just some really good Fred. Had it not been for meeting Fred, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't have a cigar company, and I guarantee you, we sure as hell wouldn't have the cigars that we have.
Yeah, and he was really good to you guys. He was really good.
He's been amazing.
Yeah,
he's really gone. I don't want to say above and beyond, because Fred is just Fred, and Fred does what Fred does. But from my perspective, I can't really think of any other person that would do everything that he's done to help us get to where we are today.
Amen to that.
From, the fact that, he's got more brands than just us that he's working with out of the factory. He has his own brand of cigars that he's, building that business up along with the factory business. And, for him to take as much time as he has, in the past, 8 months to really help us navigate the industry and eliminate a lot of the problems that he experienced when he first got into the industry. And it all comes from the fact that we have these sometimes wonderful platforms like Instagram and Facebook to connect with people. And that's where I think cigars really kind of catapults in that area, is that it's automatic. You kind of come together because you have this common interest in cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And then you form these amazing relationships. You have amazing conversations. And
well,
like I said,
kudos.
it's those changing, it's those chasing those moments. And there have been several, that I've had just in the last 5 or 6 years that it's like, I didn't even realize that it was going to be that impactful until, months later.
Well, kudos to you guys, man, because I've seen so many people try to start up a cigar line and they don't listen to anybody. They think they know it all. They think they got it down pat. And kudos to you guys for listening to Fred and taking to heart his advice and utilizing that to make you guys get ahead in the game. Yep. And so that leads me into my next question. I had this conversation the other day with somebody else, and they asked me what I define success as. So I'm going to pass that question on to you. What do you define success as? How do you find success? Meaning, is it for you financially? Is it like what? How do you, Jim, define success? And Jack, I'll ask you the same question in just a moment.
Okay.
For me, success is with our cigar brand. Success is, number one, having a great product that people enjoy. If we are able to generate enough revenue to just keep going, then we're going to keep going. It has nothing to do with, I would love to be able to make enough money to where we can pay ourselves salary, and I can quit the day job, so to speak, and be full-time in the industry. But bottom line, being very realistic with how competitive and how hard this industry is. If I make enough money to where I can order more cigars, then we're going to keep going. And for me, that is success for S&W Cigars. Having great products, as we release more blends, being just as scrutinous and just as persistent with having great products with whatever we come out with in the future as we are now. And people love the cigars, and we get the amazing feedback that we've gotten so far. That's, to me, that is success for S&W Cigars.
All right, Jack, how about you, brother? What would you define? How do you define success? Maybe not necessarily with just S&W, but just in life, in general, maybe.
So, somewhat along the same lines as Jim. First of all, success to me is the ability to create something that you can share with someone else, whether that be music. I've never made a lot of money playing music, but I've always made just enough to make more music. With the cigars, so some of my dear friends, have purchased and enjoyed some of our cigars and will give me feedback saying, I just took and spent the last half hour sitting out on my back porch or sitting with some friends. Our drummer, Mike, just passed on a couple of weeks ago. He and 3 or 4 other guys all sat around. He bought a bunch of cigars for us. They all sat around. He said it was so enjoyable and so relaxing, and they all just loved it. So success for me is seeing the enjoyment that we're able to bring people, that they appreciate what we've created. And as Jim said, if we're making enough money to grow it, and we're growing it organically and slowly, that we can reinvest into the company to keep that growing and keep getting, and look, we don't expect that everybody's going to say, oh, this is now my favorite cigar. We're not expecting that. But what we are expecting is people to appreciate what we've created and say, wow, I really enjoyed that cigar. I enjoyed the fact of the time and effort you put in to create a quality, unique product. We appreciate the fact that your branding represents you. We can see you in that product, whether that's our music, whether that's in our lives, in our interactions with people, or in the cigars, and the cigars is a new venture for me. Jim's been active in the cigar community for many years now, whereas I've only recently really become active as his business partner and starting to meet some of the people who've just been amazing. I still remember a couple of years ago, and this is what really piqued my interest and when Jim brought the proposition of doing S&W cigars, Wyatt, immediately I went, yeah, I'm in. We went to Nashville to a trade show, a music trade show. And he told me that he had met someone through the virtual, I don't know if it was Instagram or
through
Facebook
Instagram,
or whatever. Yeah. He had met somebody, and outside of Nashville, about 30, 40 miles, was a cigar lounge. And he said, hey, I want to meet up with this guy. We've never met in person, but let's just go there. And he and I, totally blind, went in there, purchased a couple cigars, sat in the lounge. His buddy came in, and next thing you know, we're talking to, 10 people that are all in there exchanging conversations and talking about life and insights. And afterwards, I told him, I said, that was amazing. It was just so cool and so comfortable. And I gained insight into different people and what is going on in their life, and got to meet new people. And it was just something that Jim and I got to share a moment. And so to me, success is being able to bring that to other people, to give them a vehicle for social interaction that they can share in one of our cigars and just relax from their day and have a moment.
Yep.
As James says,
And
capture the moment, because that's
I'd like
what our
to
life.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you get to be older like me, and unfortunately, I've lost a lot of friends and now a family member. It's about those moments. It's about making an impact, not just on my life, but on the other people that you interact with.
Yeah. Making
sure that we're capturing those memories, because those memories, once we're gone, those memories are what live on. And to me, with S&W cigars, I know that once I'm gone and Jim carries that on, that's a part of me that's going to be out there that people can go, man, this cigar that Jack, oh man, I'm going to have one and a Sambuca in his name,
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you have Sambuca, you got to have 3 coffee beans. I learned that in Italy.
You're not having Sambuca if you don't. So
that's correct.
It's so funny because I just had this conversation the other day, last night actually, with a good friend of mine. His handle here on Instagram is Cigar Hero, and we were just talking about how society right now is so messed up, and the way we change that after a bit of a discussion, we decided that in our opinion, that the way to change that is with ourselves and how we carry ourselves and how we present ourselves to other people, and that in return changes the community, in return changes the country, and in return changes the world. So you and Jim nailed it right on the head. The core of that is making moments, and you make it home at the dinner table, and then you make it home at the community, and then you make it home in the state, in the country, in the world. And that's how we change the really messed up society that we're living in globally. It's not just the United States. It's the world is just in utter chaos right now. And how we change that, the cigar community, in my opinion, will lead the way by us being who we are. And leading by example and creating those moments. And it's the moments that matter. You guys nailed it right on the head. Listen, we blew right through my 45 minutes. I didn't even realize that. You got just a few more minutes for me? Can you hang out? Or
Absolutely. Jim, you wanted to say something. You wanted to add
Jim, go
something,
ahead.
Jim.
Yeah, I wanted to add the success in life, not just with business, but success in life. We're typically, for most normal people, we have to do certain things that we don't necessarily want to do, but we have to, like day jobs that we may not particularly care for. But that's why, for me, that's why I have, music. That's why I have cigars. That's why I have, I'm involved in the cigar and pipe community. These are things that make me happy. And I think for me, the truest definition of success is, am I doing things that make me happy? Regardless of a financial gain, regardless of title or anything like that, am I doing things that make me happy? And doing things that make you happy make it worthwhile to do those things that you don't necessarily want to do, or the things that you despise having to go do. Having those things that make you happy, friendships, like I say, the pipe and cigar community, being involved with that, those are things. Playing music and recording music with my dad, those are things that make me happy. And so, regardless of a monetary value to it, in my opinion, I've been successful because I get to do things that really, truly, to the bottom of my heart, make me happy.
So,
well, and if I can add to that real quick.
Absolutely.
And I think Jim nails it right on the head. It's not just the happiness that we get to enjoy, because it's not just a selfish, we're happy, but when we're happy and we're sharing something that makes us happy to someone else and brightening their day, something that they enjoy, and now they've been able, through something we've created and shared, something that's brought joy into their life. We need to be spreading that joy more. It's very easy to commiserate and spread all the crap that's out there. We know it's out there. We know what we need to do about it. But when we can spread the joy and find the humanity between us and share in that, when I create a song, I think one of the things that put me a big smile on my face is one of my coworkers a few years ago bought one of our CDs, and there's a song on there called City Girl. And she took it home, and a couple days later, she came up to me and she said, "Jackson?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I can't believe that I bought that CD from you. I don't know what I was thinking." And I said, "Uh-oh." I go, "What's the problem?" She said, "My five-year-old daughter, every morning when she gets up, she go, Mommy, put on City Girl, put on City Girl." And she jumps up on the bed and dances around going, "City Girl, City Girl." And I broke down laughing, and I said, "And that bothers you?" She says, "No, it warms my heart so much, but I'm getting tired of every morning hearing her sing that song." And I went, to me, I've just had success. A 5-year-old loves something I've created, and it's given her joy. So it's not just the joy, because let me tell you, as Eddie Van Halen says, I make music that I enjoy, that I'm proud of, that I want to share. I won't just create it because someone says, "Oh, you need to create this piece of music to go out and make money." No, I create something for me, but the joy is when other people embrace it and love it, it brings joy. So what we've been able to do with music, what we've been able to do with the cigars, is bring a little joy. I'm successful as hell. And I can go to my grave going, I am proud of what we did.
Yep.
Absolutely. 100%. So since you're here, let me ask you this. So with success, there's trials and tribulations and there's failures, and in both, maybe not necessarily cigars because that's brand new, but just in life, like, how did you deal with adversity in any adventure in any aspect of your life. How did you deal with that? And the reason I ask that is, you know, about a year and a half ago, I started my company with the boxes and stuff. I tell you what, there are some high days and there are some low days where
Absolutely.
I'm like, you know what? I want to throw my hands up and say, just be done with this. As much as I enjoy this, this is useless. I'm wasting my time, blah, blah, blah. How did you overcome those? What was a big moment in your life that there was a lot of adversity?
I can tell you a very big moment, and I'm going to get a little personal here. When my wife and I first got together, I had a family member who invited me to come live down in Southern California so I could pursue my music where the music industry was. And my wife and I and James, as about a year and a half old, went down, and it didn't work out well. And my wife and I ended up homeless, living in our car, and living, you know, we were both working a couple of jobs, just trying to put enough money together. You know, occasionally we'd get to stay in a hotel. We had to have my wife's parents took Jim for almost a year to live with them while we got our life straightened out. And what struck me is the very first day, I remember sitting in the back of the car collecting so that we could go and grab something to eat. And my wife looking at me and saying, you know what? Tomorrow will be a better day. And as long as we stick together and we work together and we stay positive and we create something for our family, that none of our family will ever have to deal with this, and that we will contribute so that others don't have to live with this, we'll be okay. And every day was better. And one of my dear friends took pity on us about 2 months into it, gave us a room to rent until we could get enough money together to get an apartment, from an apartment to, you know, and I worked my job. I lost my job. I got another job. And the thing that I found in life, and again, I'm in my 70s now, and the thing that I found in life is everything is about how you approach it that day. You can sit there and go, oh, woe is me, this happened, and you know, my health, this and this happened, and this wasn't fair, and that wasn't fair. Or you can say, okay, you know what? What can I do today? One thing to make my life better and to make sure that the people in my life know that I love them and I care for them, and that whatever it is, I'm going to be there for them as well. And you know what? That to me, you know, we're always life is about challenges, but it's not about those challenges, not about the anxieties. It's what you do while you're going through them. You know, and I know that depression is a real thing. I know that struggles are a real thing. I know with our economy right now, there are people that, you know, are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, or aren't even meeting the paycheck. But you know what? It's all in how you approach it and what you do each day. And as I'm going to quote my son here, to capture the moments of joy. When I see him and his daughter at the park and she's embracing him and telling him how much she loves him, that right there is worth the price of admission into our life. To get that unadulterated love from someone else who is depending on us. We surprised my granddaughter at a grandparents' day at her school. She had no idea we're coming. And from, you know, 10 yards away, she saw me and ran as quick as she could and jumped in my arms. And the joy on her face filled my heart for the next 50 years. Those are the moments, and those are the things in our life that matter the most. Everything else, money comes and goes, property comes and goes, things go. The people in our life and the moments in our lives and the love that we share without something in return, that we give back, is what's important. Whether a give back in music, give back with our cigars, give back in something that brings joy. I'm successful, I'm happy, and that's how I get through adversity. And now I'll get off my bully pulpit.
No, that's really, I love how you answered that, because that really years ago, me and my boys were having a conversation, and I think more just out of sheer boredom with whatever we were talking about, whatever I was on my soapbox talking about. One of them asked me, one of the biggest and most age-old questions, what's the meaning of life? And I had to think about it, but I realized the meaning of life is be better today than you were yesterday. Be a better son, be a better father, be a better husband, be a better coworker. And not just for me or just for you, but for those around you. How can I be better for those around me? And how can I be better for my community? How can I be better for my employer? How can I be a better father? How can I be a better a business person? How can I be a better business partner? And there's always going to be adversity, and there's always going to be failures. It's, I don't remember exactly what it is, but there's the quote or info about Michael Jordan, and how many times did he fail to make the shot? Hell of a lot more than he succeeded.
Yeah.
But he's still considered one of the best, if not the best basketball player of all time. Yeah. Kobe Bryant, same thing. And so we learn through failure. The hard part that a lot of people don't take into account is going into that self-reflection period of becoming better, because that's how you get better. That's how you do better. And so I think that, meeting adversity or failure, you meet it head on. You meet it head on and you go, okay, how do I overcome this? And sometimes it's a failure to the point where, okay, I can't fix it. I have to move on, and I've got to try something else, and I've got to do something else. Sometimes that means your business has to shut down and you got to go start something else and learn from the mistakes to be better. But the biggest thing is just meeting those head on and addressing them head on to learn from them and be better next time.
Absolutely. You guys are amazing, man. I like I said, Mike, I think we might have been kicked off of YouTube. I think I only had an hour, and we're like about an hour and 10 minutes. You guys are so easy to talk to, down to earth. One of the things that made me really gravitate towards Jim when I saw him on Instagram, and when he was so welcoming, when I went on one of his first, he was on Instagram Live or something, and I jumped on with him.
Yep.
And I can see where he gets it from, Jack. You guys are just wonderful people, and to kind of wind down the show here, I just want to say I appreciate you guys, and you guys are leading by example. And I believe that things will get better for everybody if we can just be good to ourselves, be good to each other, and do what's right. If you got a question whether you're doing something right or wrong, you're wrong. Instantly, if you're right. It's when you have to hesitate that that you're completely wrong. So anyway, I appreciate both of you guys. I really appreciate taking the time to come hang out with me. I hope that I can get the word out there for your cigars, because they're absolutely phenomenal.
Hey, man, and we so much appreciate all the support that you've shown to us and the cigar company, and the friendship is just
and the genuine. Friendship I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person and hanging out where we don't have time limits.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, guys, you guys, listen, keep in touch. I will be out there in November, guaranteed. I'm going to come out there. I'm bringing my wife. She doesn't have a choice. And nice. I'd like to say that, but we all know that's not true. So she's the boss. She is definitely the boss for sure. But I can't wait to see you guys in person. You guys have enjoyed the rest of your weekend. Please keep me posted on how things are going with S&W Cigars. Anytime you guys see me on live, either of you are welcome to jump on. I will boot anyone off to have one of you guys on the screen with me anytime. You guys are a priority. And again, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and everybody.
Love you too, man, and thank you.
You're
thanks for having us on, and thanks for everything you do for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Especially
my pleasure.
Your friendship. We appreciate the friendship, bud.
Right back at you guys. And listen, I'm not kidding. Man, I want to call you Dad so bad because you remind me so much of my father. So do not be surprised if you get an immediate hug. You won't get a handshake. You're probably going to get a
That's
hug.
okay. I am known for being a hugger.
Yes.
So it'll be a very welcome hug.
Awesome. All right, guys, listen, have a fantastic weekend. Be good to yourself.
Thanks.
Be good to each other. S&W Cigars, everybody. Make sure you reach out to Arizon Jim and get your hands on them. You're going to absolutely love them. So on behalf of My Den, My Rules, which is me, and the Cigar Tender, which is me, and on behalf of S&W, which is not me, thank you so much for tuning in for well over 45 minutes. I appreciate you all. Be good. And as always, put some smoke
Take care.
in there.
Take care. Have a good one, OG.
You too. See you guys.
Later, brother.